Hey folks, Deano here again. This time, taking a look at something I'd hoped to do sooner, but shipping and delivery companies had other ideas. Yeah, this is Son Goku Daima, otherwise known as the adult Daima Goku. And yeah, it's not out in the UK yet, but I managed to get this, quite honestly, for a steal off AliExpress. Quite honestly, for some reason AliExpress tends to get the more budget oriented figures really quick and really cheaply. I got this guy for about 20 quid, which, yeah, that's quite cheap. That's the same price as a Dragon Stars, or I mean, it's £5 cheaper now than a Star Wars Black Series figure. So yeah, quite happy at that. Reason I got it that cheap is AliExpress were doing one of their monthly at this point sales, and yeah, I got money off. So yeah, very happy at that. But yeah, I would have done it quicker, but this figure reached UK customs and then proceeded to sit there, completed, mind you. It said customs clearance completed, for a whole week. I don't know what on earth UK customs is doing right now, but yeah, let's hope that doesn't happen again, because if that happens with a figure that I really need to get ASAP for you guys, I'm not going to be too pleased. But yeah, rant out of the way, I will say, this guy is so close to being perfect. So close. And I am not even meaning like the whole build of him, because I know that's a point of contention for some people. It's kind of a point of contention for me as well, but I do accept that this is just the style they went for in Daima for the characters. They all slimmed down for some reason. Yeah, let's hope they don't do that again, to be honest with you. But yeah, we'll get more into the pros and cons that I feel this figure has later on. There will be a part 2 to this video as well, with I'll basically, I know I just done one, but I think a definitive overview is once again on the cards, including this guy, because this is the next evolution in Goku figures. And the articulation in this guy is next level, honestly, it really is. To the point that I'm not entirely sure why they're advertising Cell Games Goku, the upcoming new release, as having all this new articulation, because this guy already has it. Like, I think literally all he's missing is the shoulder articulation and the updated ab crunch. But apart from that, this guy's pretty much got the same articulation. Like, but yeah, let's get him off the turntable and take a look at the box. So yeah, in terms of the packaging, it's it's slightly different from your standard Dragonball Figuarts packaging. Same sort of style, but for some reason it's got all these extra wiggly lines and stuff on it. I'm assuming that's to do with Daima. I have watched Daima, but I haven't paid that much attention to it. These squiggly lines are somehow connected to it. But yeah, we have yellow in the back and purple hues throughout the packaging. Purple on his name, Son Goku Daima. One of the shorter names that they've done in recent years, but yeah. Designed by Tamashii Nation Japan, made in China. Really good QC on this guy. So, shock horror, it's not made in Vietnam. Although the Vietnam factory has got better since its inception, but yeah, we'll not get into that. Tamashii logo. We have a really nice image of Goku on the front. Yeah, for whatever reason, I'm just going to say it here. The faces on Daima Goku, they looked fine in the promo shots, but in person, I don't know what's changed. Maybe the shape of it or the size, something like that. But yeah, they look almost too big, in my opinion, to the point that it makes Goku look like his teenage self, almost from the end of Dragon Ball. And yeah, I'm not sure how they managed that, because as you can see here, that looked absolutely fine. That looks like adult Goku. But you compare it to that, and yeah, I quite honestly do think it's both the shape of the faces and the size of them that's changed, because this one seems a lot smaller. It really, really does. It's a bit of a shame. That's one of the points of contention I don't like about this guy, to be quite honest with you. We've got some images on the side of him in poses, some more stuff on the back. I can actually see the blurb for once, because obviously this is an import figure instead of one made for the UK market. So yeah, fun. And yeah, loads of really nice poses, showing off some of the insane articulation that this guy can do as well. So yeah, quite nice. And yeah, an image on the bottom as well. But yeah, standard box, pretty much. So let's get the box out of the way and take a look at what he comes with. So, in terms of the accessories that he comes with, I debated on including these skirt pieces, but at the end of the day, it is swappable on the figure. So yeah, I'd say it counts as an accessory. It's not technically part of the figure. So yeah. But yeah, for a budget release, he actually comes with a decent amount of stuff. We get two heads, one standard base form head and one windswept. It's a bit of a weird shape for a windswept hair. I'm not sure I like it, but hey, it's included, so I do appreciate that. We get four faces. We have the smiling one, which I think is, yeah, that's the issue, I think. We have stern face, teeth gritted face, and yelling face. For some reason, even though the windswept hair is going off to this direction, we don't have any eyes looking that way. You know, like, if something's windswept that way, it stands to reason that Goku is flying this direction, which is sweeping his hair back the way. So yeah, I'm not really sure what they were going for with that. And we have four pairs of hands, which are taken directly from the superhero Gohan mold. You see, Tamashi, you can mix and match the hands. I knew you could do it. Don't know why you didn't do it with the lowest born Saiyan, but there you go. And we get two skirt pieces, one with the standard sort of look, and one to go with the in motion windswept hair. For some reason on my copy, both of these have issues. Like you can see there is a little mark on the front, which no matter what I do, I can't get that off. There are also a couple of marks on the back of it, which is kind of annoying. And this one, while there is no marks, for some reason it's quite glossy looking, even though the standard one is a nice matte sort of design. So yeah, I'm not sure what's going on there. Most of the figure, in fact, is matte, which is really nice to see. It adds to the premium factor of it. But yeah, it's just niggling little things like that that's really souring my appreciation of this figure. But yeah, let's get the figure itself out here and take a closer look at him. So yeah, I figured what I'd start doing, technically I started it with the lowest born Saiyan, but yeah, we will continue it here and continue it moving forward, is, yeah, once we get to this segment, I'll just quickly show how the faces go on and off, because I stopped doing that for a long time, but people have been asking how it works and things like that again, so figured I would. And if we end up with alternate hair, then this is where I will swap it. So yeah, in terms of swapping the heads, really easy. This neck peg we will get to in a second. I have already tested one or two heads, which we will go into more detail in part 2, don't worry. Comparisons and head swaps are my specialty. But yeah, that peg is somewhere in between a 2.0 and a 3.0, and it's kind of annoying. So yeah, just pops on easy with the windswept hair, like so. The faces obviously are swappable between the two hairs, so you pop that off there. For some reason the hair is keyed, like the normal one has that weird shape in the middle, which means you can't swap it with the windswept front bangs. I don't know why Tamashii do things like that, but they did. So yeah, the faces have a weird sort of shape to them. On the back there is 4 pegs, so these faces ain't going anywhere. But unfortunately that pretty much means that no other faces are going in this head. This is very specifically keyed to these faces. And that just pops back on. There we go. So yeah, even with that face, I'm just going to say it right now. Even with this face, he still looks a bit too young for me. Like, I don't know what it is. He didn't look young in Daima. He looked thin. He did not look young. Apart from when he was young. But yeah. But yeah, I just do not know what Tamashii were thinking with these. The faces looked fine on the box. And yet, all of a sudden, they don't look right now. I really don't know. This one looks better. But yeah, I definitely think I'll be taking this head off of this body. Probably putting it on another Goku. Maybe the Saiyan Raised on Earth mold, I don't know. And yeah, I'll be putting like a Super Saiyan head on this or something. Just, I really don't think the head works with the body. I know, I keep saying that. I apologise. Feels as if I'm tearing this figure apart. I'm not. I just want to get the nitpicks out the way before I start praising hell out of this guy. Because yeah, he is amazing. But yeah, in terms of the details of the figure, really, really nice. I don't believe there's anywhere that's been painted. Maybe the upper pecs right there. And maybe the red on the boots, actually. Come to think about it. But yeah, everything else looks like different plastics. Even the cuffs are not painted. They swivel. That is a separate piece of plastic. The blue and orange on his shoulder, different plastic. The blue in here, different plastic. This is a rubber overlay right here, which I kind of like, I kind of don't like. I am terrified for the future because I'm pretty sure I said it before with a Beast Gohan, but back in the day we had figures called Medicom, I think, was it Action Hero? Something like that. And that was like a big 12-inch Goku. He had rubber overlays everywhere on him. And yeah, over time, rubber degrades. So yeah, it started cracking and breaking. And yeah, most of those Medicom Gokus, I don't think they've survived. Or at least they haven't survived very well. So yeah, I am very worried about these rubber overlays that Tamashii have started putting pretty much everywhere. I'm worried about the longevity of these figures. I would quite happily take a articulation cut to show the articulation if it means keeping the figures more stable over time. But yeah, I digress. For now, the rubber overlay works really well. It's very soft. It doesn't actually affect the articulation as much as you'd think. That's actually a limiter that's in there. I'll again show how to remove that in part 2. I did say that was going to be a complete overview. But yeah, I'm not sure why Tamashii did that. Well, I kind of get why they did it. It's to stop people from accidentally breaking their figures and to make the figures themselves feel more stable. Because with the limiter removed from in there, you would basically be able to push that right in, and it would just be a skeleton underneath, which I wouldn't be opposed to, but I know some people probably would be. So yeah, the hips are 3.0 without the extra cuff that they put on the thigh, which I am very grateful for. Opens up the articulation a lot more. For some bizarre reason though, even though it's almost completely covered by the hip skirt, they still gave him a butt flap. And it's not even like the Teen Gohan or a legendary Super Saiyan Goku, where it's like a rubber piece. This is back to hard plastic. So yeah, he can't really kick back the way again, which is a shame. But yeah, overall details of the figure, really, really nice. I do have to say, even this part here is a separate piece, which is insanity. I'm not sure why they went with Super Saiyan God boots for adult Goku, considering the fact when he goes child, he gets white boots. In fact, they're more reminiscent to future Gohan's boots, because they don't have the line down the middle of them. But yeah. Speaking of which, I'm really not sure why there's so many differences in the outfits. If he was just shrunk down, stands to reason they would just shrink down his outfit, not give him an entirely different one. But I digress. That's just me. But overall, details in the figure are absolutely fantastic. I have no idea what copium people were inhaling to say this was in any way reminiscent to a Dragon Stars. It really isn't. It's nothing like a Dragon Stars. Like, I own quite a few of them. I would know. But yeah, it definitely feels like a Figuarts, even if it is streamlined ever so slightly. But yeah, getting on to articulation, that's where this figure really shines. So, looking up is insanely high. You can look down insanely as well. You can touch his chin to his pecs. We have double ball joint at the neck, so we get lots of pivot and swivel. The neck is also very movable, although like current necks that we're seeing, the new Vegetas being the worst offenders, they haven't really shaped the neck too well, so you're getting gaps on the neck where you really shouldn't have. I'm not sure why they're doing that. Just shape it to the neck. Yeah, very movable, and I do really like it. The arms can go up about that far. Honestly, looking at this, I would almost say this is the new shoulder articulation that they're talking about in the Cell Saga Goku. We will see when we finally get that one in hand. Can't wait. So without doing anything to the shoulder cuff, that's as high as he can go. You can't just swivel the entire thing up. You do have to maneuver it all to get him into the correct position for it, but you can do it. It's a little bit awkward, but once you figure out the direction you need to move it, it's actually quite decent. The reason it's a bit awkward is it's on the new Trunks style, Trunks and future Gohan, I suppose, where the peg goes into an adapter, which then goes in at an angle into the body. So yeah, that angle means you really have to work it a little bit to get it up, but it does work. It does work really well. Ab crunch, not ab crunch, butterfly articulation is really, really good. You just have to bear in mind that that rubber overlay is going to slightly get in the way, but you can just push it and it's completely fine. So yeah, absolutely no issues touching each hand. No issues whatsoever. You can also pull this entire mechanism out to get some more range out of things. So keep that in mind. Bicep swivel, like so. I have heard that these are quite easy to pop out. You can take Superhero Gohan's arms, or even Demon Ico Fits Martialist Forever arms. Pop it on this guy, give him a bit more bulk. Not something I'll be doing in the video though. Double joint at the elbows, but a little bit limited for what they are. Quite surprising. I'm not sure why they didn't just add a bit more of a cut to it. I think this is this new thing that Tamashi's doing where they're trying to hide as many joints as possible to make it seamless. I personally don't mind seeing articulation. Like, that's the whole point of Figure. But yeah, ball hinge at the wrist. That is the next thing I hope they change. Go with how Mayfex does it with a straight peg. It works just fine. Ab crunch at the chest. Gets about that far down, which is actually pretty decent. Like, that's roughly what a 2.0 figure can do, so it's not terrible. You take the limiter out and it gets a lot more range. But this top half is the most annoying part to me. Whenever you use that ab crunch, this tends to just pop apart like that, and you start seeing the inner mechanisms to it, so you have to constantly fiddle with that top half. We have swivel, pivot, hinge. There is a ball joint in there. Really nice. For this section, we will swap out the waist, like so. You can see that blue part there, that is the limiter. So yeah, we simply pop that off. I am not entirely sure why they did it this way. That is a C-clip. That terrifies me. You pop that in the wrong way and that is snapping. C-clips are like the bane of my existence at this point. Whenever I see them on a Gunpla, I cry. But yeah, you just swap the belt. It's keyed, so you've got a short peg and a long peg. Make sure those are the right way around. They just slot in fairly easily. Slot that through like so. And then you pop that in like that, and that's you got the windswept. So with the windswept, we now have full range with this, because this is kind of thick plastic, or thick rubbery plastic, so you risk ripping and warping it by using the articulation too much. But yeah, you can kick forward really, really nicely. Insane. I think you can actually get more on this side because that's where the cut is. Yeah, look at that. Look at that range. That is insane. Really, really nice. He does the complete splits, Van Damme style. We have thigh rotation. The thigh is a ball joint, same as I think Super 17 and Future Trunks. So really, really nice. In fact, this top half here is also a ball joint. I'm not sure I've really noticed that before. That's possibly the first one was maybe Legendary Super Saiyan Goku, but on that figure it was very unwieldy. Nice to see they've tightened it up on this guy. But yeah, with all of these ball joints now, he can actually move his feet behind one another as if he's walking a line, which is insane. And you can also get him to balance, no problem whatsoever. Here is the next point of contention that a lot of people don't like. We have these new single jointed knees. So yeah, in my opinion, it's not bad. They could be doing with changing it slightly. I don't mind the concept as long as they can get the same amount of range as we're used to. As it stands now, it gets the same range as a 2.0, not as much as a 3. So 3.0s would be like Martialist Forever, Superhero Gohan, etc. And I will show the comparison in a second. But yeah, if they cut into this back piece a little, you would get a lot more range out of it. Again, I am not sure why they're so dead set on hiding every single joint these days. Most collectors don't care, Tamashi. We just want as much range as possible. But yeah, we will get back to that in a second. We again have the new articulation that was touted for the Cell Games Goku, in that we have a hinge at the foot. Not entirely sure why it isn't a ball peg. Why is it just a hinge? Like, it could be doing with getting some range sideways. If they could do that, I'd be a very happy chap. The feet are on the new sort of, I would say swivel, but it is literally just a ball joint in there. So yeah, I would assume that's what Legendary Super Saiyan Goku's feet are as well. So it's not a hinge, but that means it can go backwards to get more range forward. The peg does have a tendency to pop out though. Just be careful with that. Yeah, you can get forward that much. If you move the peg, you can get really far back as well. Ankle pivot is almost a straight 90, which is insanity. And toe articulation is standard stuff. So yeah, if we quickly, I'll bring in a couple of these other figures here. I've got them in a pile here ready for part 2. So yeah, this is the one to beat, or has been the one to beat for quite some time. Demoniacal Fits Martialist Forever. While I'm not too fond of the hairstyle, I do still really like the figure overall, as well as the faces. And yeah, for some strange reason, Daima Goku is shorter. So yeah, he's really leaning towards being a teen Goku as opposed to an adult Goku. I believe he is the same height as a 2.0. Which, yeah, this is Saiyan Raised on Earth with the new Lowest Born Saiyan head on there. And yeah, bizarrely, even though the head for this guy is meant to be and looks like early Z Saga, the faces on this guy still look younger. I don't understand it. I really don't. I know I've said it again. But yeah, he is about the same height as a 2.0, not a 3.0. There's not too much in it, to be completely honest. It's almost as if he's in between them both. But yeah, just bear that in mind. If you have him next to Superhero Gohan, he's probably going to get dwarfed. But yeah, let's take a look at the knee articulation, shall we? So, that is Daima Goku's knee bend. If we take Saiyan Raised on Earth Goku bend, he gets roughly about the same. Like, pretty much we are talking tenths of a millimetre of difference there. And I know a lot of people haven't been fond of this smoothness, myself included. I get what they were going for. Obviously, when you bend your knee with clothes on, it tends to like straighten it out. But I do think it could have been doing with just a little bit of detail, because it looks a bit too flat, in my opinion. It really does. But yeah, if we get Martialist Forever in here, you will see, you can already tell. Sorry about that, folks. The dog started howling again. So yeah, where were we? So Daima, knee bend, 3.0 knee bend. So as you can see, we are losing a fair bit of articulation there. I get that this one looks more realistic, but Dragon Ball isn't a realistic show, is it? So yeah, if they could get this amount of articulation into this type of articulation, I'd be completely fine with it. I know some people don't like that they are quote-unquote oversimplifying the articulation, but I do get where they're going for with it. And if it makes the figures less fiddly to pose, then personally I'm all for it. Like, it's so easy to pose this guy apart from the upper gi. But yeah, guys, I will say this is definitely feeling like a Teen Goku to me / Super Saiyan God Goku. To the fact that Tamashii would be idiots if they didn't reuse this specific body for both of those. Like, the slimmer proportions, they even have the red boots for Super Saiyan God. Yeah. To the point that I think Air or HMYR, one of the two, they tend to work together, is coming out with the upper gi and waist replacement to turn this into Super Saiyan God. Or at the very least, this style of clothing. Because yeah, if they do that, I'm buying a second of this guy and turning it into Super Saiyan God. No question whatsoever. Honestly, that would be my definitive Super Saiyan God Goku. I don't even think Tamashii could beat that, to be completely honest with you. But yeah, guys, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. If I can find more links to this guy on AliExpress, I will, or even on Amazon, although I don't think it'll be on Amazon yet, because it's barely out in the US. It's definitely not out in the UK. But yeah, I'll try and leave links in the description. If you enjoyed, let me know. And until next time, I'll see y'all later.